Are you looking for a new job or interested in leveling up? Job Search Radio is your go-to resource for insider tips on job hunting and growing your career. Here's your host, Jeff Altman.
Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and I'm your host for Job Search Radio. You know, networking is one of these things that gives people all sorts of stress. It's as though if they meet an absolute stranger for the first time, they're going to be harshly judged, or they're just afraid of extending his hand, saying hello, and saying, "Hi, what do you do?" And it really isn't that hard, but all people I run into, or almost all people I run into, seem a bit inhibited by the process of networking. So I thought I would introduce Mike Fishbein to you, who's the author of How to Build an Awesome, is it network or professional network?
Professional network.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I gave the title correctly. The author of How to Build an Awesome Professional Network to you. Mike, welcome to Job Search Radio. Great to have you on.
Thanks a lot for having me, Jeff.
You're welcome. And you know, most people have that sort of inhibition, that sort of fear about networking. And I confess, at times I had it when I was younger too. Why do you think most of us feel that way at one time or another?
Yeah, it's definitely something I can relate to as well. I know, when I was first getting started with networking, I really didn't want to do it. It sounded like a major hassle and like it wouldn't be a lot of fun. I was pretty introverted at the time. Since then, I've gotten a lot less introverted. But I think part of it has to do with a lot of common misconceptions about what networking really is. So once I sort of got out there and started doing it, I realized it really wasn't that bad at all. And it doesn't have to be this kind of, salesy, business card swapping, adventure. And in fact, it really shouldn't be if you want to do it well. And, after I got out there, I started, really enjoying it and getting a lot of value out of it and learning a lot in the process. So, I think it helps to just get out there and do it the right way.
And it's not necessarily that salesy business card networking is bad. I heard that loud and clear. And I think people should exchange business cards, but it needs to go beyond that, quite obviously. So what do you think people can start doing in order to overcome their inhibitions and do it the, quote, right way?
Yeah, well, I think probably the one or two things that are essential when getting started, probably the first thing is just to remind yourself that you are someone that wants to be met. You're someone that people want to meet. And so, when it comes to job searching, you remind yourself that you are a really qualified and skilled candidate. You provide a lot of value to an organization. And so that's really just kind of a mindset shift. And when you have that mindset, it gives you just a lot of confidence and motivation to get out there. And then from there, I think it really just takes practice and kind of making a lot of things happen. So I really think like the best way to get better at communicating with people and networking is to just do a lot of networking. And to do it right, you really kind of have to, put a lot of balls in the air, so to speak, and really put yourself out there, be visible, and meet lots of people.
I think with that idea of practice, most people make the mistake of thinking that, the first person they meet, the first one they have an exchange with is going to be the one. The one that's going to, introduce them to the perfect individual or is the perfect individual themselves, so that this way it comes to a conclusion right away. And obviously that isn't the way that it works.
Yeah, I think it requires really meeting a lot of people, and that's okay. Because when you do meet that one awesome person, it totally makes up for, all the other effort you put in there. So, when I go out, when I was first getting started and going out to events, I would hope to just meet one person at an event, one person that I really wanted to stay in touch with or do business with at each event. And I knew that would take me, probably meeting 10 or 20 or even going to multiple events and continuously meeting 10 or 20 people just to meet that one person. And that's an acceptable return just because that one person can have so much value to your career or your business.
Agreed. And I don't want that first part of your statement to be passed over. Because I think a lot of folks, because they're out looking for work, feel kind of subservient and often, if they've been let go, defeated. They may not think so, but that frightened quality is coming out of the perspective of being weak or feeling weak. And thus the reminder that it's critical that you are someone that others will want to meet is so important because it does help drive you as someone who is valuable to them as well, and not just someone who's going to take from others. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have that sort of core confidence, and another kind of mindset is to, rather than going out just trying to sell yourself and, be subservient, like you said, it's just to kind of go out there and look to help other people, look to provide value to other people and sort of, lead by example and be helpful to others. And that tends to get reciprocated and something that people really appreciate. So that's one of the things I love to do when it comes to networking.
And what form of help do you think is of value to the people that you meet?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of ways to help people, and I found that some people don't realize how many ways there are to help people. And so, of course, you can help people in really major ways, like by making a connection to somebody that leads to a job offer, or helping two people do business together, or some kind of, or helping a company raise money, or some kind of big introduction. But you don't even really need to do that. You can be something as simple as sharing information with people that they would find valuable. So maybe you're looking to get into the insurance industry. So maybe you're talking to somebody at an insurance company, and you could share maybe an interesting white paper about what's going on in the insurance company, or that's relevant to their job. And that's something that really doesn't take that much time, but it's something that really, really people appreciate. So rather than sending, hey, I'm still looking for a job, you're just saying, hey, here's this information that you might find useful. Another quick way is promoting people's stuff, depending on what industry they're looking to get in. And more industries are getting active on social media and with content marketing is helping people promote their content. So if somebody's a blogger, you could just share their blog post on Twitter, and that's something that really takes 2 seconds, but that people really, really appreciate.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. This idea of sharing things with people, I think a lot of folks, other than on Facebook or Twitter, where they're just forwarding a link or liking something, which not to negate that at all, but I think it can go larger than that. I remember years ago knowing someone who was a commodities broker at an investment firm, and what she would do regularly is drop an article in the mail. Now, this is pre-internet days. She would drop an article in the mail to clients that she thought was of value to them, that would help them with some of their investment decisions. And it's the same thing that you're talking about, but updated for modern times, where people share information with others that will help them and not just simply fixate on oneself and what one's own needs are. It's a nice approach to take.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly, I think that the mailing thing would probably be valuable now because so many people are just using online. Doing the paper mailing can actually probably make you stand out at this point.
And I think someone I had on the show recently spoke about actually handwriting the envelope as a way of trying to get through the mailroom and people not thinking that it's just another solicitation or another dumb resume coming in. If you have a personal address, it's obviously easier, but if you're sending it to someone's office, perhaps a neatly written, neatly addressed envelope will get through much more readily than something that looks, quote, professional.
Yeah, and then from their perspective, I mean, that's going to tell them, they're going to have this feeling that they want to spend time with you. So instead of, you kind of just asking for things from them, they're receiving value from you. And, of course, anybody wants to have somebody in their network who is going to be helpful to them. So automatically you're making yourself attractive to that person, to your target.
And obviously we're not talking about overdoing it and sending out something daily. That's at the point of being obnoxious. What sort of frequency do you think a note could get dropped or an article could get dropped to someone?
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of relationship. For my kind of, longer-term relationships, people that I want to just maintain a relationship for sort of the life of my career, for, somebody I don't have an immediate need to do business with, I try to stay in touch about once a month. And I make a really strong point of keeping track of this and setting myself reminders. Just once a month, I'm going to check in, provide something of value, or share something of theirs on my Twitter feed, or do something. But if it's something, if it's more urgent, like it's maybe somebody that you'd like to work for, I think it could be about once a week. I think it could be more frequent.
Terrific. That's very helpful for folks. And we'll be back with more from Mike in just a moment. But first, my job search insider tip for this show, which is about what I think is a really cool tool that I've been testing recently that I think you'd find very helpful, folks. Now, the tool is called Prophet, Prophet, and it's currently available as a Chrome extension. So if you go to a site called recruitingblogs.com and look toward the top, you'll see in the current version of that site a button that says Tools. Click on that button, and they'll list a variety of different tools that they've been reviewing. So look for Prophet there. What Prophet will do is, once installed, when you go to LinkedIn and want to find an email address of someone who you may not be a first-level connection with, Prophet most often is going to provide you with that email address that they've registered on the site with. They also provide you with information about their social graph from a host of different places, About Me, Facebook, Twitter, the usual suspects, Stack Overflow, GitHub, 10, 12 different places they're pulling in data from. But I think the key thing for you as a job hunter is their ability to provide you with email addresses. So once the product is installed and you come to LinkedIn, you'll see a big black checkbox toward the right-hand side top of your Chrome browser. Once you're on someone's LinkedIn page, click the checkbox. It will open up, and suddenly you will have some information about this person, including their email address. So again, the tool is called Prophet, available at recruitingblogs.com. So let's come back to Mike Fishbein and continue our conversation about networking and the things that you can do to be an awesome networker. So picking up where we were before, we've talked about being someone who people want to meet, practicing, and then we moved into the area where an individual is someone worth, is doing something for others, is sharing content with people. What sort of other things, or what other sorts of things can people be doing in order to become an awesome networker?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I think one thing is kind of being visible and sort of displaying the value that you provide to an organization. And so a strategy that I've put a lot more emphasis on myself recently was actually through blogging. And I see people in more and more industries. It seems like almost every industry now. I know it didn't used to be as common in every industry before, but I think it's become more common is to blog and just to start a personal blog. And what you can do is start creating that content that is of value to people, and also start displaying your expertise. So maybe you're looking for a sales job. You can start a blog about sales, and blog about some sales tactics that you can use to prospect or to close deals. And maybe you can even highlight some of your accomplishments in using those tactics. So you sort of take the guesswork that an employer might have about your abilities out of the equation by clearly displaying that you have that value, and not just to employers, but to your network and to people around you who may be able to introduce you to employers. That's going to give your network more confidence in your abilities and make them more motivated to, potentially make an introduction to you to an employer because they know you're of value.
We agree. One of the things that I think causes people who are networked with to have trepidation about the referral is that perhaps you're not as good as you've suggested that you are. And the person who provides the introduction might be embarrassed or hurt because of your mediocrity. Having such information out them gives them more confidence that you're a person that's worth referring. I know I've wound up with many clients based on this show, based upon my blog, based upon the content on my website that employers find very helpful and job hunters find helpful. So companies then come to me later on because they believe that I'm someone who is not the typical recruiter. That's probably the kindest way I could put it. And they're right, I'm not. But from your vantage point, the things that cause the person you're networking with to be more confident that you're someone worth referring and it won't come back to bite them is a huge advantage for someone. Cool. What else can people be doing?
After that, I think it really just takes time, and it takes continually following up with the people that you meet, and really just making effort to build relationships over time. So I really think it's networking. You get the most value from it, not just from just meeting new people, but from enhancing your existing relationships and building relationships over time. So continuing to provide value, continuing to get in touch with people on social media, even just sending quick update emails, getting coffee with people if you can. And one thing I love to do is to introduce two people within my network who would benefit just from chatting. And this is, people, especially people in relationship-intensive businesses, but I found really people in any kind of role, they like meeting people that it's relevant for them to network with. So maybe you can introduce two product managers at two different companies so that they can talk shop, and maybe they're both looking for a job at some point in the future. And so they would benefit from that. And it's another act of providing value to people. So people are going to appreciate that, want to stay in touch with you. They're also going to feel a need or a want to reciprocate. So it's kind of the law of reciprocity, where you've done something for somebody, now they're going to want to return that favor. And the third main benefit is when you help two people in your network, they may become in a better position to help you down the road. So maybe somebody doesn't have a job referral for you right away, but further down the road, as they continue to advance their career or grow their business, they may meet that person potentially as a result of you helping them, and they're going to remember you if you truly did help them.
So true. Folks, I can't stress enough what you've just heard. Give more, get more is one of those credos I think many of us have heard at different times in our life, but forget about during the job search phase, where the temptation is all about me and thinking about what your needs are. You need to balance things out. You need to be able to help others so that they're in a position to help you too. One of my early guests on this show was a fellow named John Sampson, and John has been helpful to so many people. He started network groups in the state of New Jersey, even at times where he wasn't looking for work. He's brought back people who the group has helped, who are now in a position to hire. And when all is said and done, it's so important to be helpful to others because they don't forget. They don't forget the help that they receive from you.
Yeah, and that really emphasizes the importance of digging your well before you're thirsty, and really getting started with this and continuing to maintain and build those relationships over the life of your career. So even after you get a job, for anybody who's not old or a little bit young, they're probably going to have to do that job search again, potentially within a few years or less. So it's really important to just continually build.
So true. And in all candor, I am one of those old folks. And for all of us, regardless of age, networking is critical. There's a guest I had on, Dave Opton, who operates the network called ExecuNet. And folks, if you've listened to the show for a while, I apologize for repeating his statistics. But we all know 70% of all jobs are filled through networking. But he added one more dimension, which is 70% of the 70% come through people that you didn't know at the beginning of your job search. Catch that one.
Wow.
In fact, 49% of all positions are filled by people that you didn't know at the beginning of the search. So you need to put yourself in the position of connecting with people beyond your immediate network. And that can really only come with time, effort, trust, relationships, and a whole host of other things, and more efforts on your part in order to get to those additional people. Mike's been talking about a number of ways. There are obviously others, but it all involves building the relationship. That's really what we're talking about here. More, Mike, more. I want more tips. I want more advice. Tell me more how people can become awesome networkers.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, one thing you just said there, I just kind of wanted to emphasize, is that really shows just the importance of networking, but it also shows that a lot of other people out there are helping other people and are eager to help. So again, to give you that confidence to get out there and network, it's just a great thing. So yeah, and also following up on that is, and leading to the next tip is, you talked about referrals and how powerful they are for a job search. So for getting referrals, I think there's a couple things you can do to sort of get more of them. One is actually everything we've just been talking about, but when it comes to getting referrals, I try to be as focused as possible when asking for referrals. So I don't want to just go to people, the people I know or the people I'm meeting and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. I want to get as specific as possible. And so I want to say I'm looking for roles in this industry, or I'm looking to work at this company, or even better, I'm looking to meet this specific person. So I would recommend, as an exercise, writing down 10 companies that you would like to work for, and then at each of those 10 companies, finding 10 people within them that might be the right person for you to talk to. And then what I would do is take that list, find each of those people on LinkedIn, and see if you have any second connections or even third connections, and then ask those second or third connections for an introduction to that specific person. So that makes it a lot easier for people to make that referral, because they don't have to do any thinking. They don't have to think, oh, who do I know in the insurance industry? Oh, who do I know who does sales? They just say, oh, I know this person, and they can just go ahead and make that introduction. So that can kind of streamline that process.
You bet. And a wise person mentioned recently that one of the helpful ways of getting them to do it is, instead of putting all the onus on them to craft the letter or the email to that individual, to draft it for them. So that when you're sending the note over or putting the call in, say, I have an outline of a note that you might be able to use. Obviously, tailor it as you like, but I thought I might be able to save you a little bit of time by giving you this way of describing me. And that just makes it so much easier for folks.
Yeah, I try to do that as much as I can, and I love that when people are asking me for introductions, because all I have to do is basically forward and make a couple small edits. And a couple of elements to include in that initial note is just to explain why it is you're looking to meet them, and why it might be beneficial for that third party to meet you. And then don't put too much pressure on them. Just acknowledge that they may not know this person all that well, or they may not feel comfortable making that. So just say, if you don't know them well, or if you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine.
Agreed. Because, for example, in my case, my first level connections on LinkedIn, close to 14,000 at this point, and I don't accept connection requests from other recruiters. So that's a lot of people who've reached out to me primarily to connect with me. And often I'll get a note from someone that asks, how well do you know so-and-so? And I'll answer honestly by saying, they are someone who reached out to me. I don't really know them well. If you'd like me to forward a connection request, I'm happy to do it, but I'm not sure how much credence they'll hold in an endorsement from me. find people who know that individual for the introduction, of course.
Yeah, and it's important for the person asking for the introduction to know that as well. Just for a scenario, so say you're looking for an introduction to Jim and you're asking Bob for an introduction. It turns out who you get introduced by is also kind of a reflection on you. So maybe Jim does not have a good relationship with Bob, and he doesn't like Bob. And if you're getting an introduction request, if Jim's getting an introduction request from Bob, it could affect your reputation. So you don't want to hurt your reputation either.
Agreed. We're starting to come up on the end of our time with one another today. So let me just check. Anything else you want to make sure that folks hear about how to become an awesome professional networker?
No, I think we covered a lot of stuff. I'm always happy to answer questions on Twitter, or if anybody has follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer.
Terrific. So let's switch over to that gear. Number one, how can people find out about your book or order your book? And number two is, how can people connect with you on Twitter or elsewhere?
Sure, yeah. So my book is called How to Build an Awesome Professional Network. It's available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook on Amazon. So you can just search on Amazon or go to mfishbein.com/network, and that will take you right there. And then my Twitter handle is @mfishbein.
And could you spell Fishbein for my listeners?
Yeah, it's MFISH, B as in boy, EIN as in Nancy.
Terrific. Just wanted to make sure they weren't confused and would have the best way to reach you.
Thanks.
So, Mike, thank you so much. And folks, I'll be back next time with someone else to speak with about a different element of job search. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and if you'd like to get a lot more information about job hunting, come over to my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, and go exploring. Yes, you can search positions I'm recruiting for, but you can also watch, listen to, or read tons of content that I've created to help job hunters find work more quickly. So again, that's thebiggamehunter.us. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. The address is linkedin.com/IN/the-big-game-hunter. And I accept connection requests from people worldwide, except if you're a third-party recruiter or in a country that might look like it's known for scams or spam. And finally, if you're interested in coaching from me, you can read about it on my website, again, thebiggamehunter.us. I've coached people all over the world. We have Skype sessions, and I've helped a